This clip is sponsored by Med Travelers. If you're an SLP interested in travel therapy, visit medtravelers.com to get started. So one thing that I've always just wondered and been very interested in, so I feel like I finally have an insider that knows, is just the area of research. I'm always been curious. How do you decide what area of research you want to focus on when you're pursuing your PhD? And then just kind of a follow-up is this something that you can say 100% I know what I'm going to do, or do you almost have to do, does the university say these are your choices that you can, how does that work?
That's a great question. And if I find out, I will tell you. But I can tell you kind of what my journey has looked like. So usually before you apply to a PhD program, it's different from other grad school applications where you typically contact the professors you want to work with before you even apply. So you sort of think about, what area do I want to research? Is it fluency? Is it swallowing? In my case, it was child language. Mm-hmm. And you look at universities and professors to see who's doing the kind of work I think I might want to do. And you actually contact them. You might meet with them before you even apply. So I knew I wanted to do child language. I knew I wanted to be in either Maryland or Boston. My in-laws are in Maryland. My parents are in Boston, and we wanted to be near family. So that automatically narrowed down my schools. I contacted some professors, and I really liked the program here and the work that they were doing on child language and linguistics. So the initial thing is figuring out kind of your broad category and professors within there. And then I do know people who go to grad school with an extremely narrow interest. That wasn't me. In case it hasn't been apparent, I am interested in way too many things. And so when I started grad school, I was working my funding. So you don't pay for a PhD. They pay you to get a PhD. But you do owe the university some work in exchange for that. So I was working as an RA on a longitudinal study where we were collecting data from some kids in schools. And that was my paid job so that I could fund the rest of my program. And so that was an existing research project where I got to take ownership of some small portions of it. So I was getting my feet wet, but with a lot of scaffolding and a lot of structure. So I wasn't coming in with, here's my research question and my experiment. It was, here's this part of the experiment that you're now in charge of. And so it was similar in one of the other labs I worked in, where there was an existing project that I was helping with, and then there was a piece of another existing project that where my advisor gave me a choice of a couple pieces and said, one of these is going to be yours, pick it and make it your first year project. So I didn't have to come in deciding that kind of narrow question that I was going to research. There were existing things that I could join, but take some ownership and independence with. And so as part of that, I was reading a lot of research articles, having weekly conversations with my advisors. So I eventually designed my first experiment, and then I went out on maternity leave my second year of graduate school, during which time it turns out someone at a different university had actually done that experiment, which was kind of great because then I got to just do the next step. Like we said, science is a bunch of baby steps. Neither of us stole the idea. It's just that based on all the prior work that had been done, that study we both came up with was just kind of the logical next step. And it just so happened that he did it first. And so then I did get to create my own follow-up to that and decide exactly what question I wanted to answer. So at that point, I was having a little more independence in deciding, but I wasn't just pulling things out of thin air. I was thinking about okay, we've gotten this far in the science, and what do I want my next step to be?